You know, Mini Hannibal, I think it'd be more fun than this right now. A streamer I follow logged on earlier to play golf with your friends. I was like, what the hell is this? Now it sounds like a pretty good idea is what it is. It's like, hey, that's a really good idea. Let's do that. My God, this is awful. I think I guess what I don't understand, right, is why. This is what's always baffled me about Wargaming's attitude towards steamrolls. They make people log out. They make people log out. You shouldn't encourage people to log out of your game. But that's exactly what steamrolls do. When you sit down and you play 3, 4, 5 steamroll losses in a row, why would you keep playing? Right? Why does anybody keep playing at that point unless you're getting paid, right? You know, if you're the Flamus and Flambasses of the world and you're making your living getting paid to suffer, well then all right, you'll suffer. But for the 99.8% of the player base that doesn't have this problem, why would you do it? I don't understand.
Time to kill everyone. I'm an equal opportunity ass kicker.
Thanks, Sturgis. It's just baffling to me. And so that's what I don't understand. Like, Wargaming has never... I don't know if this is a World of Tanks thing. And they'll tell you... The St. Pete guys will tell you that they don't really coordinate with Kiev, who develops tanks. And I believe them, because the two games really aren't anything alike. But I do believe that the psychology behind free-to-play games is consistent. And you cannot convince me that the marketing and player retention departments across both titles don't share tips and tricks and data and survey results that they think are interesting with each other. Because the mentality, the thought process that goes into retaining players in a free-to-play title is the same regardless of the actual subject matter, right? So how does it not occur to them that horrible games that are not fun, how does it not compute that drives people out of the game? And yet, it never seems to have logic. Like, people have been complaining for literally years. Now, there's always something to complain about, but it's undeniable that the quality of play in the game has fallen to new lows in recent years because of the turnover in the player base. Like, that is, if you've been playing this game long enough, you don't need proof. You can see it with your own eyes. And so people complain about this, and Wargaming just kind of goes, they shrug. They just shrug. They're like, they don't really care. All right, well, great, you don't care, but your players bloody well care. Okay, that's going to be the Kiev. Fantasque was in mid. Actually, that could be the Vampire. Oh, he's got somebody in there with him. How many radars do they have? There's the Buffalo, who's not in range yet. Could be the Cheatland. Doesn't look like the Cheatland. It is the Cheatland. It's time to go. Let's finish capping, and we are out of here. Done. Bye. I'm shocked he never radared me, but I'm not going to complain. We're just going to take it and run. Right, Naughty, and that's my point. That's my frustration with the whole process. Is it's like, well, so I understand. I understand from a marketing and a monetary perspective why they make the decisions they do, but it seems it has always felt incredibly short-sighted to me, and it still does. You know, when you take your existing players, and you know you're not giving them, you know, you're ruining their experience. You know, these people are your ambassadors, right? They're you know, players. PC gamers drag their friends with them. Hey, I love this game. I want you to come play it with me. They build communities, and that's how it always goes. And so why wouldn't you want to have all of your players continue to be amazing ambassadors for your game? I don't know, but that seems to be where we are. It's very odd. There's just so many questions I have. I'm glad you like that one, Classic. It's one of my favorites. Interestingly, we've given them C for free as they just leave. So we're going to steal a few points off of A.
Leave my ride behind.
And then I'm going to chug away up here in Cap C. Yeah, Mike. See, so Mike and TJ... Grizzly, thank you for the follow. Mike and TJ make the exact point that I'm trying to make, which is I don't understand why you wouldn't want to use your existing player base as part of your marketing department by delivering a product that's good enough that they'll market it for you, right? By dragging in their friends and their family and, oh, this game is awesome, you'll love it. Okay, it used to be that way. It did many moons ago. But times have changed, and there doesn't seem to be, there's a whole lot of misunderstandings, whole lot of not understandings, I suppose, really, on my part, as to why that is. Is this Fantastic going for a torp run? Yeah, it looks like he is. Hold on. Yep, here come the torps. Here come the torpedoes. Now, we know the Kiev is up north. That means I'm looking at a Vampire Deuce down south. That's a really terrible matchup for me, by the way. So I'm going to move up in Cap... Actually, the Flanger looks like he might move up in Cap C, but the Kagero and I need to pick up C. And if he doesn't do it, I will. Looks like he's not interested. Our Flandra is going to take a whole... Oh, they all ran out of steam. He got lucky. I won't complain about it. I won't complain about that. Mini. That analogy is terrible, and I love everything about it. All right, the Kikaro's finally got a pair of balls. I'm gonna let him cap C. I'm gonna go back and see if we can finish this Fantastic off. I haven't even been spotted yet this game. They need to, if they can kill the Thunder up north, we're gonna be in decent shape. Fantastic is gonna sneak into the cap like he's just the best thing since sliced bread. 60 seconds, I can move up and play Smoke Hydro games with him. Let's see what happens. Des Moines is comfy where he is. I'm going to move up here and get to the opposite side of the Fantastic and see if I can Hydro him out. Excellent. Kag did his work. Kiev needs to kill the Marble needs to kill this Kiev. Cossack is silly fun classic. This ship is so good. Okay, we'll play it your way, sir, but you aren't going to like how this ends. Especially after you ground yourself and let me kill you.
Now, this is a force to be reckoned with.
All right. That feels a little better.
Much better.
All right, thanks, Minnie. Good to see you, man. Have a good one. And yeah, ping me back when you're ready to talk about that thing you DM me about. We are good.
Time to put on the beer goggles.
There we go. A little bit of good fire for my old buddy, the Soyuz. Ooh, he used one of his fancy fancy heals or fancy damage controls. Ah, the game's afoot, huh? There we go. Got one to stick on the Soyuz on his way out the door. Enjoy that, sir. You missed. Neener, neener, neener. Alright, Isle was out. Soyuz is burning. MLM with the resub. Thank you much. Appreciate you. See, like, what's happening to this other team feels like what I've been dealing with all night. I feel bad for these guys. They're getting steamrolled. It's slowly devolving to a game that they can't win. This guy gonna ground himself? No. Vampire's trying to swing wide and deal with the CAG. I don't think I can beat a Vampire in a gunfight. I have more gun power, but he has 5-kilometer hydro plus smoke, and I don't. So, oh, we got the Vampire! Kagero, you're my hero, buddy. Okay, let's go play with the Jamba now. I mean, Z44 is not amazing. She did recently... I didn't realize this until I was doing my quarterly review video. She got a buff last month. Like, in the last patch, she got a buff. See, look at this. You cannot convince me the guys on the other team had fun this game. You cannot convince me of this. And so I come back to... You know, it sounds ridiculous to say things like, why does wargaming allow games like this to occur? Because at the end of the day, to some of it, they can't prevent it. Like, it's not all their fault. But I do feel like that if you were to at least make an effort to retain your veteran players, you'd have fewer train wrecks like this. And it would be a better experience for everyone playing the game. And so it feels incredibly short-sighted to me for their policies to continue to basically be blasé about we don't really give a crap if we retain our veteran players, because it results in games like this. Or the previous 3 games that I had, right? Every single game that I have played tonight up to this point has been a disastrous train wreck for one team or the other. For the first time tonight, I happened to be on the winning team. For the other 3 games, they were train wrecks for... I was the train wreck losses, basically. So okay, Gilron brings up an interesting point. One of the things that Wargaming talks about when you start talking to them about metrics, and this is not a conversation a lot of people have, there are not a lot of players really interested in the business side of F2P games, okay? But there are times that you can have conversations about it with them, and they will frankly answer questions, especially if you're not actually prying down into the how much money do you make. They'll never tell you that, right? But they will tell you that game length matters, right? One of the reasons I remember now, I do not have a quote for this, guys. I do not have a written quote. I cannot provide you a link. But I remember years ago reading that one of the reasons carriers stayed in World of Warships, and Wargaming was so adamant, but yes, he does. Thank you, Mike. About keeping them in the game was because games with carriers in them were faster, right? A game with a carrier in it tended to end faster, especially if it wasn't a standard battle. because carriers provided more vision. More vision meant battles started earlier. They meant destroyers had fewer places to hide. I honestly believe that one of the reasons that radar came into the game, and radar was not in the game when it released. I believe that one of the reasons radar was added to the game was because those first few months, battles took too long, right? One of the reasons it used to be so slow to level up ships way back in 2015, those first few months the game was in open beta, right before official release, was because they were gathering data. And one of the data points they gathered was that games took too long. So they added radar to make it easier to spot and focus out the ships that were hardest to find. Okay, that's fine. Carriers did the same thing. And so when you talk to them about the financial mechanics of converting an F2P game into a living, they will tell you, then they've said it before publicly, this is not secret information, right? The length of a game matters. They want players to have more opportunities to push the battle button. And so Galeron talking about, they want shorter games. I don't know that they necessarily want shorter games. I don't know if they have an idea. You'd have to ask them and say, what's the optimum game length? I have no idea. But I do know when you start talking about game length, that is a very important metric to these guys, okay? And so they are not going to complain about shorter games, whereas many of the players, myself included, want to complain about shorter games because in a shorter game, what happens? Less damage. What does less damage mean? Less experience. What does less experience mean? I have to spend more time playing the game to achieve the same experience gain. So it's this back and forth seesaw of the players want longer battles because it affords you more opportunities to earn experience, but there's a financial disincentive for wargaming to generate an environment where that is a thing, isn't there? Isn't there? It's that constant back and forth, and there's a fine line to be walked that a lot of people don't care for.